Let me first begin by repeating the words just read. If we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. We rob them of creativity, communication, collaboration, and community. These are the 4 C's that should replace the 3 R's in the 21st century. In order to grasp the importance of social networking tools in today's classroom, it is first imperative to meet the boomlets. Although boomlets fill the seats of every elementary classroom and middle school desk, they are being taught in a traditional educational setting. Boomlets are our future. They have a distinctive way of thinking, communicating, and learning. They live, learn, and play differently. Before we can educate them, we must understand them. As you saw in the beginning, boomlets were born after 2001. There are 2 groups right now, the tweens and ages 8 to 12 years old. 61% of them have televisions in their room, 14% have a DVD player, and 4 million have a cell phone. They have never known a world without computers and cell phones. In fact, they are tired of hearing about the environment and have 100 ideas on ways to save it. As technology advances at a rapid pace, they leave behind toys. As children reach the age of 4 and 5, they become less interested in Barbies and Tonkas and begin a digital addiction. Boomlets know what they want and how to get it. They are always on. Whereas the baby boomers lived in a linear world, the boomlets are living in a non-linear fashion. They can jump from one thing to the next the minute inspiration hits. Therefore, using the tools that students find appealing can make a difference in their education. As the education system has witnessed, learning the traditional way is uninspiring, unmotivational, and unsuccessful. In lieu of the recent standardized testing scandal in Atlanta, Georgia, the warning signs of failure to reach the boomlets are ear-piercing. 21st century students should be focusing on the 4 C's: communication, collaboration, creativity, and community. It is my intent for this presentation to touch on technological issues in the K-12 education and specifically focus on social networking. First, we will take a look at the history of social networking and then begin to build a community within the classroom. As within any implementation of technological tools, there are always pros and cons. In the end, I will give my personal recommendations, which is to revamp those AUPs. Then I will provide what I believe is appropriate for the 21st century learners and end with my final thoughts. To start, let's look at the top 10 technology issues. First, 24/7 access. Many school districts are now considering a one-to-one initiative. A one-to-one initiative means much more than each student having a device to travel between home and school. One-to-one computing environments are different from what one traditionally finds in most school settings, because they offer all students and teachers continuous access to a wide range of software, electronic documents, the internet, and other digital resources for teaching and learning. Through a successful implementation of a one-to-one initiative, all students will be provided the opportunity to communicate, collaborate, create, and learn on demand. The second issue is infrastructure and networking. The infrastructure not only includes the devices, but also the district's networking capacity, servers, storage, and most importantly, technological support. For me, infrastructure and networking also means the technological vision within a school district. When developing a vision, The stakeholders must consider the district's administrative goals, technology goals, learning goals, and IT goals. The district stakeholders must carefully work together to develop a vision and provide the necessary tools to successfully implement the technological plan. Let's take a look at leadership. It's no secret the educational system is moving at a snail's pace when it comes to technology. It could be the result of resistance to change. In order for change to happen, it is important for leaders in the district to come together to agree about the purpose, use, and importance of technology in the curriculum. Understanding and accepting change must develop through thoughtful discussion and a supportive environment. Supportive leaders must come from every level. Therefore, someone at every level takes on the responsibility of effective technology implementation and change. And then, what about budgets? It seems like year after year, the educational system faces more and more budget cuts. So the topic of money is always an elephant in the room. Within any aspect, money matters. Once a district determines the infrastructure and networking of technology, then the next most important task is finding the funds to pay for it. As a result of the budget cuts, districts have to be strategic when choosing every component of the technology plan. They must also consider the longevity of their technological plan. Monies must be set aside for professional development, software support, replacement cost, connectivity, and technological renovation. Safety and security is not only a concern, but it's also the law. Schools who receive funding from the federal government must provide protection. The Children's Internet Protection Act, also known as CIPA, addresses protection from malicious Internet content, whereas the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, also known as FERPA, protect the privacy of students' records. One way districts ensure safety is by putting together an acceptable use of policy into place. And then assessment. The issue of standardized testing is a highly debatable topic, especially now with the scandal that just came to life. Although state standardized tests measure the core curriculum, it does not measure 21st century skills. With new technologies advancing daily, students should be provided opportunities to create, discover, test theories, collaborate, and communicate. Not only are students required to learn the core curriculum, but they must also demonstrate higher thinking and interpersonal skills. In order to encumber these skills, differentiation instruction and project-based learning is on the forefront. Some innovative ways to assess these skills are formative assessments, performance assessments, and e-portfolios. And then digital learning. The old web only provided information to students. Now, with Web 2.0 tools, students can interact with and create new information and then communicate the results to a real audience. Web 2.0 tools include word processors, spreadsheets, blogs, wikis, podcasts, social networking, photo editing, and video sharing tools, slideshows, and so much more. The best part is that these new tools are available to students at almost no cost. While the traditional classroom has always focused on the 3 R's, digital learning classrooms are focused on the 4 C's. Thin client technology is something new. As mentioned above, districts have to find strategic ways to save money. One way to save is by installing thin clients. Thin clients create a safe and secure environment and reduce the cost of technology. The idea is to centralize computing power on an application server connected to the network. They are easy to install, upgrade, and maintain. It is stated that all thin client models work seamlessly with current computing infrastructures and computing standards, as well as with all Windows-based applications. However, I will tell you that I have had experience where I know this is not true. Let's take a look at professional development. In order to fully implement technology into the classrooms, professional development is essential. Teachers should be prepared to use technology to align with the standards, as well as use effective strategies to address our boomlets. This type of plan requires creating a shared vision, assessing safe technology literacy, usage and attitudes, designing individual professional development strategies for each faculty member, developing and delivering technology professional development programs, and assisting staff in integrating technology into the curriculum. And last, mobile learning. The concept of mobile learning moves learning beyond the four brick walls. At any time, students can access information, collaborate with their peers, and share their learning. The mobile devices allow classrooms to address 21st century in the real world, classrooms to implement new styles of teaching, and classrooms to address personal learning styles. As a result of mobile learning, the concept of BYOD, also known as Bring Your Own Device, is now a hot topic of discussion. As you can see, K-12 education is facing so many new issues as technology advances at a rapid pace. It is my belief that it is an imperative for the educational system to be able to connect to the digital generation. The students of today belong to this generation that is connected via the World Wide Web. As technology changes our everyday lives, children must be prepared for a connected world full of information and endless possibilities of communication. Technology must be an integral part of education in order to ensure students' capability to live and work in tomorrow's society. A key component in their lives of today and tomorrow is social networking. Social networking is only a sliver of the tools to promote the 4 C's in learning. Although it addresses each of the 4, it truly teaches community. Socializing is a part of everyday life, whether it's adults gathering at a coffee shop, teenagers gathering at the local mall, or children gathering at the local McDonald's playland. People come together to socialize. Socializing is one of our basic needs that must be met. Although adults have free range to socialize at their desire, a few laws have been put in place to restrict children. During the mid-1990s, the world saw a huge increase in curfew and loitering laws. With these laws in place, where are our boomlets hanging out? You're right, on social networking sites. 73% of teens 12 to 17 have created their own profiles. Therefore, social networking should be the new medium in the classroom. Susan Young Brooks, in her book Teaching with the Tools Kids Really Use, defines social networking as web-based services that allow individuals to construct a public or semi-public profile within a bounded system, articulate a list of other users with whom they share a connection, and view and traverse their list of connections and those made by others within the system. In simpler terms, social networking sites are a place where individuals can build a profile and quote-unquote friend others. Each site structures friend networks differently, but the basic concepts are the same throughout. Where did it begin? Well, during the mid to late 1990s, one popular social networking site during this time was Classmates.com. Basic members could create profiles, contribute to the community, message boards, and read other members' profiles. However, it was only that basic. It was not until the early 2000s where social networking began to rapidly grow. During this time, new sites such as Friendster, MySpace, and Bebo began to emerge. It was Friendster in Asia, Bebo in Europe, and MySpace in the United States. One could say MySpace transformed the idea of social networking. Brooks states MySpace was the top online social network site among teens and young adults until May 2008, when Facebook racked up about 124 million unique visitors for the month, compared to MySpace's about 115 million visitors for the same period. Nowadays, Facebook is the third most popular website, trailing behind Yahoo and Google. It has more than 175 million active users, and more than half are not your typical college student. The fastest growing demographic is those over the age of 30. A year later, in 2006, Twitter was launched. Twitter is a social networking service that takes the form of microblogging. Users send text-based messages up to 140 characters known as tweets. In 2012, the service rapidly gained popularity within over 500 million registered users. It generates up to 340 million tweets a day. Since it was launched, it has been described as the SMS of the Internet. Facebook and Twitter are just a fraction of social networking sites. Social networking also includes blogs, wikis, instant web messaging, chat real-time such as Skype, podcasts, and podcasting such as YouTube. Its popularity is growing rapidly, not only for the young ones, but also for the business vector. Jeffrey Yan states in Social Technology as a New Medium in the Classroom that new modes of everyday communication, textual, visual, audio, and video, are already part of almost every high school and college student's life. Since social networking has become a part of everyday life, it must also be a part of the educational setting. As of right now, it is my opinion almost every district bans social networking sites. However, I don't think the debate should be if social networking has a place in education, but how can social networking be the most effective in the classroom? In my opinion, one of the most effective ways to use networking in the classroom is to build a community. In the classroom, social networking is known as education networking. Take a look at this. Besides the ever-popular social networking sites such as Twitter and Facebook, education network sites are popping up all over the place. Since there are so many, it would be much too difficult to explore all of the facets. Therefore, I just chose to delve into one, Edmodo. One of the main reasons I chose to take a closer look into Edmodo is because I believe it is one of the easiest to be implemented into an elementary classroom. It provides a safe and easy way for a class to connect, collaborate, and share content. It also provides a place to access homework, grades, and school notices. I put up a screenshot of Edmodo, and if you look, the format is so similar to Facebook. Facebook is one, if not the top social networking site. In my opinion, since it is so similar, teachers, students, and parents will find the format to be user-friendly, and it may even become addicting. Before implementing any education networking site, Susan Young Brooks points out 4 elements that should be in place for it to succeed. It should have a purpose. There needs to be a specific reason to use the site. It should be focused. The online forum needs to be educational, interesting, and to the point. Promote collaboration. Students need to feel free to contribute to the content. And it must have a moderator. The teacher should always moderate and engage in the networking site. The great thing about Edmodo is it provides a digital citizenship kit that promotes being safe, being responsible, and being respectful. It provides 5 topic modules to start the conversations in order to develop an online community. The first module addresses internet safety and security. This module teaches the students to be smart and alert when online. The module gives them practical strategies for protecting themselves and their information as they begin their journey communicating with others on the internet. The second module addresses cyberbullying. Students learn that kindness matters too on the computer. They learn that just like in real life, everyone has a role in standing up to bullying. The third module addresses relationships and community. It provides students a challenge to think about how they relate to one another through technology and how they become positive contributors in cyberspace. The fourth one addresses digital identity. This module provides students an opportunity to personally reflect on how technology and media plays an integral part in their lives. It addresses how they use it and how they define themselves in digital space. And the last module is information literacy. This module introduces the basics of finding and evaluating information online. It also addresses being responsible for giving credit where credit is due. Once a classroom has successfully implemented the Digital Citizenship Startup Kit, then the ideas for Edmodo are endless. For example, you could have the students create fake accounts to mirror a character, historical figure, or etc. Have those students take a camera on their field trips and then post those photos online as a scrapbook. During the summer, encourage them to participate in a summer reading challenge. Have the students join book clubs, create polls, and collect data. Take the students through a lesson of how to build a profile for an employer, what would be acceptable and what would not. Have them keep current with events, connect with other students around the world. And as an interesting one, just post if you were ... anything that goes with your curriculum to get them thinking. Although this list specifically focused on ideas for students, Edmodo also has so many ideas for the teachers and parents. Overall, Edmodo is an excellent site for creating an online community that allows students to share their learning. Edmodo definitely promotes the 4 C's of learning: creativity, collaboration, communication, and most importantly, community. So why aren't more education networking sites being put in place in a K-12 educational setting? Well, let's go back to some of those top 10 K-12 issues. First, let's address 24/7 access. Although it is a pro, because it provides teachers, students, and parents the opportunity to have 24/7 access to the classroom, we have to think about those who do not have a computer or internet access at home. They will instantly be at a disadvantage. We know this disadvantage as the digital divide. On the other hand, Edmodo is safe and secure. Only those approved to be in the classroom are accepted. It is specifically designed for education. It is an internet-based tool that provides students to learn digitally. It gives them the opportunity to participate in those 4 C's. They can interact and communicate, and most importantly, share their learning. These are the great benefits that districts need to take into consideration, although they also have to look at some of the cons. In addition to the digital divide, infrastructure also has to be discussed. Similar to Murphy's Law, if something can go wrong, it's technology. Therefore, education has to have a backup plan in place if that infrastructure doesn't support such sites. And what are they going to do to make sure that their infrastructure does support those sites? And finally, let's take a look at leadership. It is my experience that most districts are banning social networks. Banning social networks is not going to help our students into the future, which brings me to my next point. Take a second and read this quote. Change. In order for our students to change the world, it is my opinion the first step education has to take is change. Change the acceptable use policy to address today's learners, the boomlets. Instead of banning social networks, include them. If I were to change the AUP for the boomlets, here's what I would suggest. First, the AUP would include use good judgment. Expect them to use good judgment in all situations. They must know and follow the school's code of conduct and privacy policy, and regardless of their privacy settings, they must know that all of the information they share on their social network is public information. They must be respectful, always treat others in a respectful, positive, and considerate manner. They must be responsible and ethical, even though they are approved to represent the school, unless they are specifically authorized to speak on behalf of the school as a spokesperson. They should not state the views expressed in their postings, etc., are their own. They should stick with discussing school-related matters that are within their area of responsibility. They should be open about their affiliation with the school and the role and position they hold. They should be a good listener. They should keep in mind that one of the biggest benefits of social media is that it gives others another way to talk to them. They should ask questions directly and share feedback. They should be responsive to others when conversing online, provide answers, thank people for their comments, and ask for further feedback, etc. They should always be doing at least as much listening and responding as they do talking. And don't ever share the following: confidential information. Do not publish, post, or release information that is considered confidential or not public. If it seems it's confidential, it probably is. Online conversations are never private. Do not use their birthday, address, and cell phone number on any public website. Don't share private and personal information. In order to ensure safety, they should be careful about the type and amount of personal information they provide, and avoid talking about their own personal schedules or situations. We should tell them to never give out or transmit personal information of students, parents, or coworkers. They should not take information they receive through social networking, such as email addresses, customer names, or telephone numbers, and assume it's the most up-to-date or current or correct. They should always respect the privacy of the school community members, and they should be cautious in respect to images, respect brand, trademark, copyright information, and images of the school. They may use photos and videos that are available on the school's website. It is generally not acceptable to post pictures of students without the expressed written consent of their parents. They should not post pictures of others without permission. And a significant part of the interaction on blogs and social networks involves passing on interesting content or linking to helpful resources. However, the school is ultimately responsible for any content that is shared. Don't blindly repost a link without looking at the content first. They should pay attention to the security warnings that pop up on their computer before clicking on unfamiliar links. They actually serve a purpose and protect them and the school. And when using social networking sites and other tools, they should be sure to follow the printed terms and conditions. And most importantly, if they don't get it right, because we know we make mistakes, to be sure to correct any mistake they make immediately and make it clear what they've done to fix it. And of course, apologize for the mistake if the situation warrants it. And if it's a major mistake, like exposing private information or reporting confidential information, then they should know to let someone know immediately so that the proper steps can be taken to help minimize the impact that they may have. With an AUP put into place like the one just mentioned, then educators can tap into the way students learn and design professional development accordingly. Virtual communities are a place where people find groups of other people who share a common theme or topic of learning. The potential of social networking in the classroom is enormous. Students become an active member of a community and a community full of knowledge. Just hanging out affects social and emotional health. It teaches children social norms, peer relations, and status. It introduces children to new ideas and cultures. It is where children find support and validation. It's where people find support and validation. Although some will argue social networking weakens face-to-face interaction and increases the chances of cyberbullying, the truth behold, boomlets learn differently, and as a result of digital technologies, boomlets have distinctive ways of thinking, communicating, and learning. There is so much more I could say about the need for technology in education, and most importantly, the need to address the policies put into place. However, a while back I found this most amazing YouTube video. I don't think I could voice my opinion any better than it does. To end, view this video and ask, can an educational system afford to teach traditionally, or must it advance forward and truly teach the boomlets, those of the 21st century?